For thousands of years, the tombs and temples of ancient Egypt were covered in these incredible symbols. I mean, they held the secrets of a whole civilization. But then, the knowledge to read them just vanished completely. So how did we ever crack the code?
Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at what these sacred symbols actually are. Then, we'll meet the super exclusive group of people who could write them. After that, we'll get into the incredible story of how we found the key to unlock this lost language. And finally, we'll see what secrets it revealed about the ancient world.
All right, let's jump right in. To really get this, we first have to understand what hieroglyphics actually are. And trust me, it's a lot more than just simple picture writing.
Imagine trying to send a text message, but instead of using letters, you had to draw a specific picture for every single sound or idea. That's kind of the world the ancient Egyptians were living in.
You know, the Egyptians themselves called their writing the words of the gods. They genuinely believed the god Thoth gave it to them, which made writing this incredibly sacred, almost magical act. And that's exactly why you see these beautiful carvings in all the most important places, like temples and royal tombs.
Now, this is where it gets really clever. The system was unbelievably sophisticated because a single symbol could work in 3 different ways. First, a picture of a bird could just mean bird. Easy enough. But second, that same bird picture could also represent a sound, like the ba sound. And third, some symbols were totally silent clues. They're called determinatives, and they helped you understand the meaning of the word before them. It's like a little icon telling you the previous word was a god or a person or a place. It's a picture, a letter, and a hint all rolled into one.
So, if it was that complicated, who held the keys to this language? I mean, since it was so difficult to master, not just anyone could pick up a brush and start writing. Think about it. Learning over 700 signs took years and years of intense training, and it usually started when you were just a kid. This meant that being able to read and write was a really rare and valuable skill. In a world where almost everyone was illiterate, scribes were part of this tiny elite group that held some real power.
And yeah, being a scribe was basically like having a golden ticket to a better life. You didn't have to do that back-breaking farm work under the hot sun, and get this, you were exempt from serving in the army. Instead, you got to work right in the centers of power, like in temples and the royal court. Not a bad deal at all.
To do all their important work, scribes used a toolkit that was honestly surprisingly simple. They had a wooden palette with 2 little wells for ink, black ink, made from soot, for all the main text, and red ink for titles and important bits. Their pens weren't really pens, they were brushes made from reeds. And they wrote on papyrus, which was this early form of paper made from plants that grew all along the Nile River.
So, if only this tiny elite group of people could read these signs, what happens when that knowledge just disappears? Well, for centuries, the entire history of Egypt was locked away in a language nobody on Earth could understand.
Yeah, for more than 1,400 years. After the last pharaohs and the rise of totally new cultures, the ability to read hieroglyphics was completely lost. The stories, the laws, the beliefs of an entire civilization, all of it just became a silent mystery carved in stone.
And the breakthrough came almost completely by accident. In 1799, some French soldiers in Egypt just stumbled upon this big, dark stone slab that would literally change our understanding of history forever. This was the Rosetta Stone, and the genius of it was repetition. It had the exact same message written in 3 different scripts. One was hieroglyphics, the formal script of the gods. Another was Demotic, which was a simpler, everyday Egyptian script. And the third was Ancient Greek. And because scholars could still read Greek, they finally had a guide, a way to translate the other 2.
And we're not talking about some small pebble here. This key to an ancient civilization weighed about 1,680 pounds. To put that in perspective, that's like finding a small cow carved with ancient secrets. Discovering and moving this massive thing was an incredible feat all by itself.
So here's the crucial part. There was this brilliant French scholar, Jean-François Champollion, and he spent over 20 years just painstakingly comparing the scripts. His big aha moment was realizing that the hieroglyphic system wasn't just simple picture words. No, the symbols also represented sounds, just like our alphabet, and that was the missing piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so what did we actually learn once the code was cracked? Well, unlocking this language was literally like opening a time capsule.
One of the very first major clues for Champollion were these oval shapes called cartouches. He guessed correctly that these were special and that they had the names of rulers inside them. So by matching the hieroglyphs inside the cartouche to the Greek names he already knew, like Ptolemy, he started to build his dictionary of sounds. It was brilliant.
And once the language was unlocked, this whole world just opened up. The writings of the scribes gave us this incredibly intimate look into Egyptian life. We learned about their medical knowledge, their legal system, how they built the pyramids, and even the magical spells they believed would guide them safely into the afterlife.
You know, deciphering hieroglyphics was this huge achievement that connected us directly to the people of the ancient past. And it really makes you wonder, right? With new technology helping us read even damaged texts, what other incredible stories are still out there, just waiting to be told?